Hello world, from whichever time zone you're catching me from, my name is MD90. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notification to all so that you do not miss the uploads that come up. And the easiest way for you to navigate the channel is to head to the playlist. You'll find videos curated for you based on your interest. So if you're interested in the Kutika podcast, you'll find a playlist for that. For news and trends, there's a playlist for that. Exclusive with MD90, a bunch of playlists that are created based on your interest. So the easiest way to navigate the channel is head straight to the playlist and you'll find what you're here for. Consider becoming a member of the channel. Right next to the subscribe button is a join button. You click on the join button so that you can become a member of the channel. You support the team on the production and a number of things that we're doing here, and we appreciate it.
Well, Esther and Edgar were just celebrating their birthday just a couple of days ago. So if you remember, these are Bowman Lusambo's kids, who he named after the former head of state. That's Edgar Lungu and his first lady, Esther Lungu. So those are the kids, and they are celebrating their birthday. Their father, in as much as he's in prison, seems like someone is running his page. He was able to wish them a happy birthday. So he says, happy 5th birthday to Esther and Edgar, wishing you many years of good health, dominion, and prosperity. Daddy, mommy, and your siblings love you so much. And then he shares the pictures of the girls named after the late, the boy named after the late President Edgar Lungu, and then the girl named after the current former First Lady Esther Lungu. And that's Bowman Lusambo. He's still facing his court cases, and most of them have been adjourned. I haven't seen him out in the public or having a court appearance since Edgar Lungu passed on, pretty much. So we're yet to get a statement from him how he feels about the passing of his former boss. And so that's what's going on. But with regard to the impasse between government and the Lungu family in South Africa, now it's just a couple of hours before the court case comes up. So everyone now is weighing in. So they just shared, Nkani had shared a statement attributed to President Hakainde Hichilema earlier on, says, if we do not bury former President Edgar Lungu in Zambia, the world will laugh at us, President Hakainde Hichilema said. To which Brian Apunda, this is the Socialist Party, should be Secretary General or a media director, we responded with the same caption, and he says, in many occasions when you denied him, referring to Edgar Lungu, when you denied him access to go seek specialized treatment, medical treatment abroad, the world laughed at us. When you sent your immigration officers to eject him from the plane at Kenneth Kaunda International Airport, when again he attempted to leave the country for South Africa to seek medical attention, the world laughed at us. So Brian Apunda was driving the point to say, this won't be the first time that the world is laughing at us. All those instances where he alleges to say the former late president was denied access to medical treatments or leaving the country, even then the world laughed at us. That's according to Brian Apunda. But as you remember from the last broadcast, I notified you to say Chief Government Spokesperson and Cornelius Mwetwa had an interview with SABC just around the same time I was doing that broadcast. So these are some of the highlights from that interview that he had last night. So according to a report coming from Ministry of Information and Media, they say last night Minister of Information and Media Chief Government Spokesperson Cornelius Mwetwa, Member of Parliament, featured on South African Broadcasting Corporation SABC News to give an update on what government had done since court ruling on the burial. Since the court's ruling on the burial of the former late President Edgar Lungu. So some of the highlights, according to government, say government through the Attorney General and through its lawyers in South Africa is communicating with the Lungu family with a view of settling the matter in a way that is amicable and expeditious, and in accordance with the desires of both government and the Zambian people. That's one of the points he raised during that interaction. And then the second is that presently government believes the family's demands will be discussed because it is implementing an alternative dispute resolution system in an attempt to offer this situation's closure and finality before the courts return to its judgment. And then also the final point was that the people of Zambia desire that former President Edgar Lungu be buried in his home country in line with the traditions that all former presidents are buried home at a presidential burial site at Embassy Park. So during that interview, those are the points that Cornelius Mweta raised. And then Brian Apunda responded. He said they have sensed an embarrassing judgment coming in South Africa, in the South African courts. So he says, according to those efforts that the government is making to have an out-of-court settlement with the Lungu family, Brian Apunda alleges to say there is a possibility that their judgment in South Africa will not go to in the favor of government. Hence, that alternative. That's according to Brian Apunda, to which Emmanuel Mwamba also weighed in to say, if President Hichilema stayed away from the funeral, this impasse would have been resolved. So it seems like Emmanuel Mwamba is stating the side of the family to say the main issue, the main contentious issue that is remaining at the moment is President Hakainde Hichilema staying away from the funeral. And it seems like they are not changing on that, but we'll wait and see how that plays out. And then Chief Etayari weighs in to say, you cannot take a widow to court. So what would government done to protect public interest? By now, we would have Edgar Lungu buried in South Africa. Is it what the NGOCC wanted? So he says government is simply executing the interests of the public. That's according to Chief Etayari. And then right after the SABC interview, Cornelius Mweta was on radio this morning again. So this is what he says. It is in the national. It will be a national embarrassment for a foreign court to determine whether former President Edgar Lungu should be buried. Where former President Edgar Lungu should be buried, when Zambians still have the opportunity to resolve the matter through dialogue. Government has stated. Minister of Information and Media Cornelius Mweta says the ongoing legal dispute in South Africa could be avoided altogether if both parties agree to settle the issue outside the courtroom, in a manner that reflects the spirit of unity and national interest. Speaking this morning on Hot FM's Red Hot Seat, Mweta, who is also chief government spokesperson, revealed that the state is pushing for an out-of-court settlement with the Lungu family to avoid waiting until August 4th when the South African courts is expected to rule on the matter. He said the wrangle has touched the very soul of the country and must not be left to the foreign judges to make a decision about Zambians' national memory. I can indicate here that yes, of course, government cannot remove itself from being party to these proceedings in terms of its desire that this matter be resolved exterior, which simply means out of court, or ex curia, which simply means out of court, or in a form that is an alternative dispute resolution, meaning we do not have to wait to return to the date that is stated by the court to go and be told by the South African courts what the Zambians must do, said Mweta. Mweta further explained that settling this dispute through alternative means we will not only necessarily leave anyone smiling, but it will produce an outcome that serves the national interests and spares the country from unnecessary shame. He added that there is still time and still hope for consensus to be reached, especially on issues that have shaken the country's conscience. So that's according to Cornelius Mweta. He's been busy as we build up to that court case. It seems that a government wants to be settle this issue outside court. That's if they come to that agreement. And as you can see from that feedback that came from Emmanuel Mwamba, it seems like that point from the family where they do not want the sitting president Hakainde Hichilema to be present at anything related to the funeral. So they are not changing on that. And then there is no way Zambia can be without a former president. We need one. That's Hari Karawa doing his press brief earlier on. where he said probably he was just campaigning to say, as we build up to the 2026 election, President Hakainde Hichilema should be the former president then, and then probably he, Mari Kalaba, becomes president. He also says that Mr. Hichilema should honor the wishes of the late president, that he should stay away from his funeral. So he also doubled down on that point as he was making his press brief earlier on. And then something happened pretty much as this day started at 24:30 to 01 hours. So when this post started making rounds, people could not figure out what it was all about. So at 24 hours going to 01, some interesting news popped up. And it had to do with the residence of the current president. As you may be aware, the current president has not moved into State House, the official one where the other presidents had lived. He's maintained his residence, his personal home, which is called Community House, the one that you see below there, and then the one above is State House. So something happened 24 hours to 01 today, and that's where that question came through to say, what were you doing at that time? So, and then obviously people started throwing more hints, say, what holds you back in life is a lack of faith. So you catch it as the broadcast goes on where this was coming. So all this had to do with Faith Musonda. If you remember Faith Musonda, she used to be at ZNBC. She's a journalist. She used to be a broadcaster at ZNBC, and then she has a number of businesses. But right after the PF lost elections in 2021, she was involved in a lot of scandals with property alleged to be proceeds of crime. So it's around those court cases that she went to the residence of the current president, Hakainde Hichilema, his personal house, which is called Community House, where she went at 24 hours to 01. And that's where the news. So the breaking Woodlands police station in Lusaka have just detained wealthy Faith Musonda following a bravado act of storming Community House in New Kasama to allegedly demand answers to why our court cases are delaying details coming. So that's why she went to the president's house at 24 hours. So different platforms picked up the news. Movie TV also was like Faith Musonda storms Community House at 01 hours. And the UPND put up a response to that. Obviously, they say, I was drunk is a foolish excuse that should never be tolerated, because alcohol is only a catalyst for planned nonsense. So that back and forth. But the details are this, according to what Movie TV reported. It says, Faith Musonda storms Community House at 01 hours. So the Zambia police has confirmed the arrest of Faith Musonda, and she's likely to be charged with the offense of conduct likely to cause a breach of peace. This is after she allegedly stormed the Community House, the residence of the Republican President Hakainde Hichilema, at 01 hours this morning. Musonda said to have gone to Community House to demand answers as to why her criminal court cases have taken so long. According to Assistant Police Public Relations Officer Godfrey Chilavi, Musonda will be charged with a conduct likely to cause a breach of peace and currently detained at Woodlands Police Station. This is not Musonda's first run-in with the law. In 2024, the Economic and Financial Crimes Court forfeited properties worth over 21 million kwacha to the state, suspected to be proceeds of crime. The properties were linked to the 2021 incidents where Musonda was found with 65 million kwacha plus 57,900 US dollars. And a house worth 6 million kwacha, all suspected to be proceeds of crime. So those are the cases that she had gone to protest of some sort at 01 or that time slot. And then other details were presented by the police as reported by Movie TV. So they say July 2nd, 2025, the Zambia Police Service wishes to confirm that officers at Woodlands Police Station in Lusaka have apprehended Faith Musonda, aged 41, a resident of Chalala in Lusaka, for disorderly conduct. Brief facts of the matter are that on July 2nd, 2025, at between 24:30 to 01 hours. The suspect was driving a Toyota Fortuner bearing the registration number. They put the registration number there. Went to community house in New Kasama residential area. Upon being approached by members of staff, she allegedly conducted herself in a disruptive manner. Police officers swiftly apprehended the suspect, who is currently detained in police custody. She will be charged with the offense of idle and disorderly conduct, contrary to Section 175, Chapter 87 of the Penal Code of the Laws of Zambia, and is expected to appear in court soon. And then they sign it off. So those are grounds for arrest. And then obviously other platforms pick up the same news. The patriotic fans simply say their side of the story, pretty much reiterating the same news, where to say, yes, she's been arrested, but obviously they offer the alternative there. And then Chief Etari says, I had something to say on Faith Musonda, but in Shalandepo, we are in a period of who takes over what. So you never know what comes your way. So, and then Chief Etari is simply doubling down. If you remember, there were some allegations that were coming out at some point to say this lady had some sort of relationship with the late President Edgar Lungu. So probably that's what Chief Etari is doubling down on, to say, I mean, probably she's on the side of government trying to negotiate the repatriation of the body. But sometimes Chief Etari just shoots in the dark. He's now in the diaspora on a self-imposed exile, so he feels he can speak anything, but so there's no grounds for that. But anyway, he said that. And then George Mutonga weighs in, storming the magistrate house would have been better. Hakainde is in the executive, not the judiciary. So George Mutonga simply says, I mean, it did not make sense for her to go to the residence of the sitting president, Hakainde Hichilema. She should have stormed the magistrate house. And then another person responds to everything they want to blame Hakainde Hichilema. Then the UPND weighs in also. The UPND says someone goes to cause commotion at the official residence of the commander-in-chief at midnight, and the police massage with a charge equal to Shishita. How safe is the principal? Is that not a security risk? I am not a lawyer. So they ask and then one of the elements pretty much so simply saying they probably should have charged her with more than just Shishita, as they say there. Brian Apunda says it's a meeting gone wrong. If you know, you know. How come there is no footage of her protesting? If at all she had planned for it, they say there. And then someone checks him to say, come on, you're above this nonsense, show some leadership. We know you to have. And then he says, don't come here with your praise singing mentality if you don't know what is at play. Simple. So the back and forth going on. And then obviously the social media was just having a light moment with this. Says it requires substantial amount of faith for someone to get crash a president's residence. So they are playing with her name to say it took a lot of faith for her to do what she did there. And then Daily Liberation say Masonic meetings are devilish. Bishop Edgar Ngambi there. So this conversation has been going on also in the nation a couple of days. And then Mass Newspaper says save Zambia from crocodile jaws. Opposition have no choice but to come together ahead of 2026, says Changala. So, and then in the Daily Nation, Bill 7 legally invalid. That's the Law Association of Zambia. Concord ruling on Bill 7 challenged. And then also new census data to shape Zambia's future. ZamStats. So the Zambia Statistics Agency has launched a 2022 Census National Analytical Report offering rich analysis of the country's demographic and social and economic realities. What's in the news diggers? Speaker goes brutal on patriotic front. The way you exhibit disorderly conduct in Parliament is the same way is the same in your party. So remember when PF walked out of Parliament yesterday. So that's the statement attributed to the Speaker during that fracas. And that's the news, ladies and gentlemen.